when a lone she-wolf mysteriously halts traffic on a busy highway. Her piercing gaze and peculiar behavior baffle onlookers and authorities alike as the police approach. They noticed something clenched in her jaws, a small leather pouch. What lies within it will send shock waves through the crowd and unveil a secret that ties the creature to a mysterious figure and a forgotten promise. It was the height of rush hour, the freeway packed with impatient drivers trying to make it home. Horns blared in frustration as cars slowed to a crawl. Not because of a crash, but because of her. She stood right there on the median, poised, as if she owned the road, a she-wolf alone and unflinching, with a glint of something unnerving in her golden eyes. At first it seemed almost comical, a wild animal so brazenly interrupting the daily grind, but when the honks grew louder and the lanes more chaotic, the humor quickly faded. The she-wolf didn't run. She didn't even flinch. Her sharp ears twitched as each vehicle passed, as though she were waiting for one in particular. Her sleek fur caught the glow of brake lights, making her look almost ethereal. Local news cameras arrived in no time, their presence turning the already unusual scene into a public spectacle. Onlookers began to call her Luna. Drawn to the strange calm she exuded, speculation ran wild. Was she someone's Petone rogue, or was she sick? But Luna didn't appear confused or scared. In fact, she moved with an eerie deliberateness, as if she had a purpose that only she understood. Among the reporters was Ellen, a junior journalist, eager for her first big break. She wasn't the first to notice, but she was the first to articulate it. Luna wasn't acting like a wild animal. Her steps, her stillness, her intent gaze, they felt deliberate, as if she were a sentry rather than a stray. That's when the police arrived. At first, they moved cautiously, expecting Luna to bolt. Instead, she simply stared them down, a low growl rumbling in her throat. Not a threat, but a warning. That's when one officer pointed it out. There, clamped in Luna's jaws, was something unexpected, a small worn leather pouch. Its presence turned the situation from a curiosity into a mystery. What on earth was she carrying, and why was she guarding it so fiercely? Officer Reyes and Ellen walked cautiously into the woods, their eyes trained on Luna's sleek shadowed form as trotted ahead. The forest, once lively with bird calls and rustling leaves, seemed to hush around them. Every step felt heavier, the air cooler, the atmosphere charged with a tension that neither could explain. Luna paused periodically, her ears flicking back as if checking they were still following. At these stops, she would sniff the air and the ground, her movements measured and deliberate. There was no doubt in Ellen's mind that Luna was guiding them, though her reasons remained unclear. The forest began to close in around on them, branches reaching out like skeletal fingers, and a faint mist clung to the underbrush, adding an otherworldly quality to the scene. At last they reached a small clearing in the center. Like a beacon of distress lay a torn and weather-worn blanket. Its faded pastel colors suggested it once belonged to a child. Strewn nearby were faint, barely perceptible footprints, too small to be an adult's, and leading in hesitant patterns across the muddy ground. Ray knelt down, studying the impressions, with a grave expression, his breath visible in the now chill air. Ellen, standing back, observed the scene with a growing sense of unease. Something about the abandoned blanket, the lonely footprints, and the she-wolf's insistence all felt too purposeful to be coincidence. She tried to suppress the thought, but it began to surface. Nonetheless, Luna may have been watching over someone, a child lost and alone in the vast forest. Yet the mystery sewer in the she-wolf made her wary. Was Luna truly a guardian? Or was there more to her behavior than met the eye nearby, half buried in the soft earth? A small, broken doll caught Ellen's attention. The doll's fabric body was torn, one glassy eye missing, its remaining eye staring blankly toward the darkened treetops. The sight was haunting, a silent echo of something fragile and innocent. Ellen's mind raced, fitting the pieces together as best she could. This wasn't a random sighting. The she-wolf hadn't wandered onto the highway. By chance, Luna had found something, someone who needed help. Ellen felt a pit form in her stomach. The stillness of the clearing seemed to weigh on her shoulders, each breath harder to draw. There was someone vulnerable out there, alone and frightened, and they had to find them before the forest. Indifferent and sprawling swallowed them completely. The trio moved cautiously, following a barely discernible path. The air grew colder, the forest canopy above thickening until only specks of light penetrated each step forward, seemed to draw them deeper into an untouched world. The only sounds were their boots on the damp ground and the occasional rustle of Luna's paws. A strange tension filled the air, a mixture of anticipation and dread event. Eventually they reached a secluded grove. It felt eerily silent, as though the forest itself was holding its breath. There, nestled among the twisted roots of a great oak, was a girl no older than 6. Her face peeked out from behind her knees. Her small frame trembling from both cold and fear, she clutched the remains of a stuffed animal against her chest, its stitching worn and its ear half torn. Reyes and Ellen halted abruptly. The sight of the child, her wide, frightened eyes locked on them, struck a chord of urgency. It was Luna who broke the stillness. The she-wolf patted forward with deliberate gentleness, her presence seeming to calm the girl. "Is it Isabella," as they would learn her name, lifted her head slightly. The tears slowing, the she-wolf pressed her nose gently against the girl's arm, and in that moment it was clear that Luna had been her protector. They pieced together the story without words. The tattered picnic blanket and broken doll they had found earlier now made sense. Isabella must have wandered off, drawn by curiosity, or distracted by something, only to find herself lost in the vast, unfamiliar forest. Night had fallen before she knew it, and with it came a deeper terror she hadn't dared call out, too frightened of what might respond. It was Luna who had found her, who had stayed with her through the long cold hours, shielding her from the chill with her own body. Only when dawn broke did Luna leave the girl's side, venturing onto the highway in search of help. Reyes felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest as he considered the unlikely scenario. Ellen, too, was deeply moved. She had approached the story as a curious journalist. But now she stood humbled. This wild creature, this mysterious, solitary wolf, had shown more compassion and instinctive loyalty than many humans might in a similar situation. They helped Isabella to her feet, wrapped her in a jacket, and began the trek back. Luna followed for a while, her head low, but her eyes watchful, when the girl was safely returned to her parents, and gratitude filled the air. Luna quietly turned back toward the forest. She did not linger. Her work was done, and she disappeared as quietly as she had come, fading into the underbrush and the shadows of the trees. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, The Animals 2.0.